day of the month you started your service, and once you add in your unused sick leave, you could have 15 extra days that are going to get tossed out the window. Our annuity system, estimate system, is going to tell you, there's going to be a little line on there that says this number of days equals this number of hours. And if you do the math, it's going to equate to 6 hours. So if you don't want to leave anything on the table for Uncle Sam, don't keep track of your days, keep track of the hours. And as you all know, FERS...
Just a quick question, because I'm not real clear in terms of the sick leave. For instance, I have almost a year's worth, taking it in terms of hours. So I was told that if I use that, it would not, I could use it toward retirement, but it would not, it could negatively impact the annuity in terms of the years. Is that, I'm not sure where we are with that. I've been told various things.
I'm not sure how it could ever negatively impact your annuity.
In other words, if I were to go out, let's say 29 years of service, but had a year's worth of sick leave, does that come to 30 then the full, or?
Okay. The question is, I'm trying to remember. How does this affect your annuity, basically? Okay. The unused sick leave, first off, cannot be used to make you eligible for retirement. So if you were trying to retire at your minimum retirement age, and you would need 30 years, but you only had 29, but you had a year's worth of sick leave, no. That year's worth of sick leave cannot be used to make you eligible to retire. You would have to have the 30 years on your own, and then that extra year would be added in, so your annuity computation would be based on 31 years. Okay? Yes, sir?
How many hours is a year of sick leave? Do you know?
2,087. Yeah, 2,087 hours is 1 year in sick leave. And as everybody in this room knows, we, FERS employees years ago never got credit for their unused sick leave. Then the Defense Appropriations Act of 2008 gave us 50% credit up until January 1st of this year, and now FERS employees get 100% of their unused sick leave credited towards computation for their annuity. So what does your basic, when we say basic pay, what does that include? That's your salary plus your locality pay, AUO, please don't shoot me, up to $17,500 of COPA overtime, night shift differential for wage grade employees only. Environmental, some of these don't even apply. Environmental differential, physicians, and market pay for doctors and dentists. What it does not include, regular overtime. If I work any overtime, it's not counted towards my I3. Bonuses, foreign language allowances, I don't know if they pay any, they used to pay housing allowances. Night differential for anybody other than wage grade employees. Any payments from workers' comp, supplemental payments. If you are on workers' comp, that could impact your high 3 as well. If you get injured, you go on workers' comp, and if you retire from workers' comp, your income from workers' comp could be lower than your actual salary. So that could have an effect on your where your high 3, what years your high 3 comes from.
What about danger pay? I didn't see it on either one.
That does not count for calculating high 3. Nope. So the basic annuity, how we calculate, is if you're under age 62 or 62 or older with less than 20 years, your calculation is 1% times your high 3 times your years of service. And that would be years and months. If you're 62 or older with at least 20 years of service, that 1% becomes 1.1. Now this is the basic FERS formula for all regular employees.
Quick question.
Yes?
This is more for my husband than me, but he's not here, so. He's gonna be 60 with 22 years of service, so even though he's gonna have more than 20, he's gonna be under 62, so it wouldn't be the higher average, right? It would be the 1%?
Correct.
Okay,
To get the 1.1, he'd have to be retiring at 62.
thank you.
Mhm. Special groups, Leos, firefighters, air traffic controllers. It's 1.7% times your high 3 times your years. Times your years of service. The 1.7 only applies for a maximum of 20 years. Then everything after that, and it doesn't matter your age at retirement, is going to be 1%. So a Leo going out with 25 years of service is going to get 20 years calculated at 1.7 and 5 years at 1%. The CBPOs, who this benefit, their new retirement benefit happened mid-career, their calculation is 1.7% times the years and months, times the high 3, times their years and months of service after July 6th of 2008, and then it would be 1% of everything else. And again, if there are any CBPOs in here who are going to be putting in 20 years of CBPO covered service, that's just like the Leos, it's a maximum of 20 years on that 1.7. The first supplement annuity. This is an approximation of your Social Security to cover you if you retire prior to being eligible for Social Security. And the way it is calculated is done as a percentage depending on how many years you're retiring with as it compares to 40. So if you're going to retire with 30 years of service, 30 is 75% of 40. So your first annuity supplement should be about 75% of what Social Security says you're going to get at age 62. Because this benefit is only payable until you're 62, whether you apply for Social Security or not. The government says, okay, we're going to cover you to this point, it's up to you then. And it will automatically stop. If you're eligible for it, it will automatically kick in. There's no extra paperwork you need to complete or submit. And I believe it actually stops the month before you turn 62, but it will automatically stop. Yes, sir.
So this is this paid by Social Security or by
No.
through FERS?
The question is who pays this benefit. This is paid from OPM,
So this is over and above
your regular annuity. Yes. Now there's also some restrictions on that too. There's earnings, what's called earnings limitation. If you go out and get another job, you are only allowed to make up to 15,000, and it might be on the next slide.
15,480.
15,480. And what happens, and you'll hear me mention my husband a lot because he just retired last October, so I've been able to go through a lot of these processes and know how it works. He retired last October, but we weren't really financially ready for him to retire, so he had to go out and get another job. He retired at age 60 with 20 years and several months. So he's going to be subject to this earnings limitation. And I believe it was February or March of this year, he got a letter from OPM wanting to know, now because it's for last calendar year, so they needed to know how much money he made. Well, he didn't do it for last year, but for this year, the letter came, like I said, February, March, wanting to know how much he made, and the reduction would have started in July. So for next year, his reduction will start because he's making over that. And they're going to reduce your supplement $1 for every $2 over that limit that you make. So we already know that what he's making at his new job is going to wipe out his FERS annuity supplement.
Susan?
Yes.
Two questions. First question, this only applies when they compute the percentage of what you're going to get. It only applies to FERS service, FERS service.
Yes.
So for example, I'm retired military, so unless I convert my military retirement to FERS, which I'm not going to do, my 20 years in the military does not count towards that computation.
Correct.
Okay. The second question is, I understand it begins automatically when you retire and then ends at 62. What if you choose not to take Social Security at age 62 and the first 67? Does that affect anything?
It's the supplement is still going to stop at 62.
Right.
Yes.
But you can choose not to accept Social Security until you're 67.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Does a recipient of the supplemental retirement, does their participation in that supplement affect the amount that potentially could be received in Social Security if they retire at 62 for Social Security? Does it have any effect on the amount that you get when you're 62?
So you're asking, is there any relationship between the FERS annuity supplement and your Social Security income? No. Other than the initial calculation of how they determine how much your FERS supplement is going to be, it's not going to have any effect on what you get down the road, because your Social Security is your earnings. Annuities are not considered earnings. Yes, sir.
If I leave CEP when I'm 58 and go out and get a full-time job with benefits, can I postpone my annuity until I'm 62? Just not take it.
Okay. The question is, if someone retires at 58 with how many years of service?
I'd be fully.
Oh, okay, so you'd be retiring at age 58. You'd be retiring at 58 with 30 years of service.
Yes.
But you want to postpone receiving.
Could I? And the second follow-on, would I get the 1.1 instead of the 1.0 if I did postpone until 62?
No, you would not get the 1.1 because you would. Ooh, actually, I'm not sure on that one. Yeah, but so you would actually resign at age 58 with your 30 years of service and apply for your retirement when you turn 62.
I'm asking if that's possible.
Yeah. I think for the 1.1 you would have to be taking your annuity immediately, not postponing it. I see where you're going. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me talk with me later so I can write that down and
Okay.
do some research on that and so I can get your contact information. That's a good question. Yes, sir.
And that's a salary. For example, if you buy a house, fix it up, and sell it, that doesn't count as, the deduction in FERS.
No. That
Just
deduction, yeah, selling a house, if you've got an annuity coming from somewhere else, like retired military, none of those things affect that earnings limitation. That earnings limitation is money from a job. Earnings, through earnings from a job. Yeah. Other ways the first supplement is payable, yeah, if you go out MRA plus 30 years, 60 with 20, you would get the FERS annuity supplement. It's payable for early voluntary, which was that early out we talked about, or discontinued service. It's not payable to disability retirements or MRA plus 10.
Ma'am, is the annuity taxable?
The question is the annuity taxable? Yes. Yes, your annuity is taxable. The supplement is also taxable. And even under the Leos and CBPOs who might be able to retire at earlier ages, that first annuity supplement would kick in as soon as you retired. So if you've got somebody retiring at age 50, that annuity supplement would start at age 50. And the earnings limitation for them does not kick in until they reach their minimum retirement age. So for a Leo that might be able to retire at age 50, you could go out and get a job and make as much as you want to up until you got to your minimum retirement age, and then that earnings limitation would kick in.
Another quick question. My understanding is when you retire, it's taking some time to actually process the paperwork through. And I understand on the annuity, that's not an issue, you get your back pay. What about the supplemental?
The question is about timing and how long it takes to get your annuities, and that you would get back all the back pay on your annuity. You would also get the back pay on the supplement as well. Yes. Like I said earlier, it's payable only till you're age 62, whether you apply for Social Security or not, because at that point you are eligible for Social Security, and it's a personal decision on you as to whether you apply for it or not. There's the earnings limitation for 2014. It changes every year. Right now it's $15,480, and then for every $2 you make over that, your FERS supplement will be reduced by $1. Yes, sir.
Does the supplemental income remain constant or consistent year to year, or does it change? Like
No, the FERS supplement stays the same.
So if I go out at 50 or 57, it's the same regardless?
Correct. Correct. If there's any cost of living adjustments that are made, it's only made to your annuity, because your first supplement was based on what they project your Social Security income would be at the time of your retirement.
It does go up though, because you work 7 years longer. So you have a higher Social Security base. Right?
After you start collecting it.
Yeah.
Now, he's saying after he retires, is there any increase to the first supplement? And there would not be. Yes, sir.
So a covered CBPO who has the retirement age and the years of service, 30 years of service, if they choose not to retire and continue until they're 62, that supplemental that they could have received, that's lost, right?
Correct. Yes. If someone continues, and CBPO, any employee who works beyond age 60 up until 62, yes, they do not get that first supplement.
Or 57 to 62. If they have,
Oh, if they're mandatorily,
no, not mandatory. If they've got the required age,
okay,
and they have 30 years, and let's say they're 57 and they choose not to retire, and they don't get that, they don't apply for that supplemental, and they wait until they're 62, then those years between 57 and 62 that they would have received supplemental, that's lost.
but they would have had to retire at age 57.
Correct. They would
Okay,
have had to retire, but they don't retire, they continue to work.
right.
So that's not recouped, that's just only if you retire at the,
Only if you retire under age 62 would you receive the FERS annuity supplement. Yes.
For example, for Leos, you can retire at 25 anytime.
Correct.
Mandatory is 57.
Correct.
So if somebody retires at age 50 with 25. So there's the supplemental annuity. They will continue to receive it from age 50 all the way to 62.
Yes.
Are they subject to the supplemental earning limitations of 50,480?
Okay, there's two questions. One is if a Leo retires at age 50, would he get the FERS annuity supplement starting at age 50? And yes, he would, up until 62. And the second question is, does the earnings limitation kick in right away? No, it does not. It does not kick in until that individual reaches his minimum retirement age. And then the earnings. So, a Leo that retires at age 50 could go out and get a job and make as much as he wants to and not be penalized by the earnings limitation until he or she gets to their minimum retirement age, which, as looking around the room, is probably 56. So he could go out and get another job and make as much until he's 56 and not be penalized. But then once he gets to his minimum retirement age, then that earnings limitation is going to start applying.
That's the mandatory retirement age, right?
For any Leo.
Okay.
For any Leo that retires at an earlier age, they would start getting the first supplemental.
Up until what would have been my mandatory retirement age.
You say
which would be
minimum, you say
57.
mandatory, so which one is it?
No,
So if I retire at 50 as a Leo, I will have that supplemental annuity up without any
penalty.
penalty up until what would have been my mandatory
No,
Leo age
up
of
until
57.
your minimum retirement age. Yeah, even though your mandatory retirement age would be 57, the earnings limitation is going to kick in when you get to your minimum retirement age. Yes, ma'am.
How long does it take OPM to process the paperwork? So if I retire, say, September 1, when could I expect to get an annuity and a supplement?
We're going to cover that later
Oh,
on with
okay.
the retirement process.
Oh, okay.
I'll cover all the
Okay.
time frames, how long different things take, and when you can expect your different payments.
Okay.
Okay. 10. Let's take a 10-minute break. Come back at 9:45.